Hi everybody, my name is Kittia, and today we're going to be doing narration and commentary on a 18 Underrot I ran late last night, about 4 in the morning. I don't normally stay up that late, but you know, quarantine days, so what else am I going to do? So we'll get it going here. This is a complete guild run. I don't do very many of these. I typically run with people from my old guild, but this is Julian on tank, Yeska or Yeskar Dari on his Havoc Demon Hunter, Nilan on a Frost DK, and Cirilla is playing Fury Warrior. And so we're going to get up. That Maggot does serious damage if it's not stunned in mid-interrupt. And the Chosen Blood Matron will do a frontal cleave that does a significant amount of damage too. We need to watch out for that.
Someone got hit.
You can see that right there. Yeska got killed. We'll run into this pack here first. I'm going to use my wings right here because this is where we need to get the most damage out. Gift of Gahoon absolutely needs to be interrupted. Well, we got it off there, which was good. And we are just looking forward to pumping as much damage in this as fast as possible. And there we go, packs down. And we're going to pull these ticks because we got to do this obelisk. Can't skip it. I mean, you could, but you don't want to. And because we need the trash, we're going to pull this next group down here too. Which has another blood priest and a matron. As a healer, you're not typically the most responsible for the orbs, but if you can get them safely, you should. So there's Savage Clue going off. I couldn't really see where it was because of the speech bubble there, so I just backed up to be safe. And we'll kill this guy and go into our obelisk. The first obelisk I think is Fear Guy. You'll see my trinket came up too, judging by the weak orb, but I'm going to save that for the boss here, mini boss here. Yeah, so this is Fear Guy, so he's a bunch of little ads. They do enrage and do a lot of damage. And then he puts fear on 3 people that need to be dispelled. So I'm going to use my trinket here, get some damage. I'm going to dispel. I was going for the tank, but she used something to self-dispel there, and then somebody feared her. And her health got real low. So I'm going to spell her. I'm going to get feared as a result, but she's going to kite this boss down to our next location. Yeah, somebody ran into you. I just told you.
Yeah, someone ran into her. I should have just ran. I didn't think they'd do much damage.
Get her again. Again, I'm going to get feared here in just a second. So it's kind of important to make sure your tank isn't at risk of dying when you get feared, or bad things will happen. Now, I'm really used to healing a prot pally instead of a Brewmaster Monk, which is what we got here today, and they're really good at mitigating initial hits, but they take a lot more sustained damage. It's harder to keep them topped. But man, some of their mobility is pretty impressive. Okay, so on this boss, you want to not get hit by the Sanguine Feast that appears under her face, or the slow creeping rot, which is being cast right here. And you need to interrupt as many blood bolts as possible because they chunk the damage and will put a healing absorb on. She also summons copies of herself right there that will do mirrors of her abilities, but they have far less health, so those need to be killed first. And so you can see we focus that in. We're going to use the Death Knight clip to bring it in so that we can cleave on the ad while doing damage to the boss as well. Or cleave on the boss while doing damage to the ad. And you get another focus drop we need to avoid.
Mike?
Sure.
And my trinkets come up, so we're going to use this here.
Yes, sir.
good amount of damage. I'm putting out 35k right now, roughly, and so if you can keep that, it's going to be a couple million health. It's like,
Alan on the ad.
I don't know, 30% of one of the DPS there. Giving one of your DPS a 30% damage boost isn't bad. So, again, if you're being the healer, or even the tank, you should try and maximize as much damage as you possibly can in these circumstances.
I
Again,
wasted mine.
quickly kill the ad. We're back on the boss. This thing is dead. Okay.
Fuck, how'd you do so much Twilight Devastation damage? That was bullshit.
Get the 410, you know, just get those procs going.
So she's going to use Ring of Peace just to make sure we don't pull those ads, which is good. Ring of Peace does not put anything into combat if any of you guys are monks out here. So the Living Rots do a cast and they put poop on the ground that you need to avoid. Which you can see by the green swirls. It does damage if you stand in it. It's not terrible. You can run through it typically. And then again, it is raging, so everything's going to start enraging here.
Classes attack fast.
I mean, my class attacks fast though.
Not as fast as us.
Okay, on to the next trash. The Disease Lashers do a cast called Decay Mine. You can see right there. If that goes off, it'll put a disease on a target that stuns them. You can either dispel it or heal it up. Thankfully, Pallies can dispel, and so can our Brewmaster. So if one of those goes off, we'll be able to handle it. But you do want to focus those and make sure those get interrupted. Because even a half second
Wow, dude, I even
will be enough to ruin somebody's day. Yeska right there, we're going to start rezzing him. The Bloodswarmers focus somebody, and we put the Ring of Peace down so that Yeska could stand in there and not get hit by it. The Bloodswarmer keep getting knocked back. Him move into it quite fast enough, and he got deleted really quickly. Raging Bloodseekers do a lot of damage. And we have pulled back 3 Disease Lashers, so just make sure we get our interrupts and we're going to be okay. So one got off, went on Cirilla. We can get the dispel on that though, so it's not a huge deal. Raging ain't no fucking joke. Yeah, Raging is trucking our tank right now. They do so much more damage. Okay, so we have a maggot, just like in the first room. So this thing's going to do Rotten Bile. It's going to have like the green orb in front of it. And it's going to go off. And then we have another maggot pulled in here too. So what we're going to do is when these go off, she's going to cast Ring of Peace, which will knock them back. You can't interrupt them standard, but you can knock them back. And so we got one of them off there. The other one went off. You can see the explosion there, but no one was in the way.
We did fear and...
I used to grab too. I mean, we use like everything.
Twilight Devastation doing work for me right now.
It's on you, or it's on Yeska. I was good with it.
Okay. Nothing too special with this pack. I did end up using Blessing of Protection. Oh, and Dylan got stunned. I used Blessing of Protection on the Yeska because he was getting aggro from the Swarmer, and so Blessing Protection will make sure that there is no physical damage going off, and that ended up saving his life there, and he didn't have to move. We got more uptake on the boss. Pulling on a maggot, again, we got to be careful about where this guy is facing once he does his explosion. So they got a stun on it right there. And I think this is the one that I'm going to stun here in a second, yeah. So I'm going to get the stun on it too. And then we're going to use my trinket to try and kill it a little bit faster. We did overlap. I got the stun while she did ring at the same time, but, you know, better safe than sorry. So now it's on me, but it's not raging right now, and I'm the healer, so I can make sure I stay alive. And so I'm just going to kind of kite it to where it can be cleaved while doing some damage and keeping myself up. DPS don't exactly have that luxury because they don't have quite the same self-heals, and they're not sure if I'm going to be able to keep them up versus do whatever, but I have a lot more control over that. Okay. So we are skipping that boss for now because we have 5 minutes left on our Bloodlust debuff. And so we need to be able to use Bloodlust on this next boss because it does a crap load of damage. So we're going to pull this. This first pack is a bunch of reanimated Guardians and a Death Speaker as well. The Death Speaker will raise more of them. So you have to make sure that we interrupt that. And then the reanimated Guardians put a big shield on themselves.
Yes,
That also needs to be preferably purged, but not every group has a purge. We have a Demon Hunter that can do it, but only one at a time. I'm going to stun this, so this Grotesque Horror doesn't, it's pretty easy to mob as long as you keep the interrupt on, because the interrupt with Death Bolt will do massive damage to everybody. We're going to pull this here, and then I'm really curious what happens after this, because we actually encounter an issue. I haven't seen it on tape yet. So there's a miscommunication after this fall. I'm using my cooldowns, which hindsight's 2020 probably wasn't the best thing. We're gonna nuke these guys down. Okay, yeah. So there's a miscommunication there.
Can you bear it? Or
The tank went one way and we went the other, but I put Glimmer on it trying to get DPS on it, and I can't not heal it, or I can't not heal, which is going to DPS the thing as a result, and so there was, it was unfortunate. We're going to try and keep this alive, but these guys just do so much damage, and with these explosives, she ends up running behind. I don't have any externals at this point.
I got a stun. Someone get next.
Yeah, it's just not enough.
Res.
I got her. I kicked. There's a explosives in the back. Yo, hello?
Yeah. Deathbolt goes off.
God damn it.
Just completely wrecks us. A couple different times. Oops.
Like, what the fuck?
I don't know.
Yeah, so now I have to fess up and say, oh, it's my fault we broke this up because miscommunication there, and I attacked that target. But looks like Dylan's the one that pulled it, which is good because I wasn't sure about that till just now.
Way ahead. We have to get out here, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay. We still got 3 minutes on Bloodlust, so we're doing okay. We're gonna run back and start killing trash again. We kind of know what direction we're going. Don't use the ring this time, it's probably on cooldown from the last pull, but if you're careful, you can run by that and not pull anything. Get to skip around
could the mobs not be
Blood Swarmer there.
They can be. It was just so fucking, like, low on cooldowns and stuff. I was also trying to manage orbs.
Yeah, I try to stay and kill orbs and jump over and.
But I just couldn't.
But it's still so
I didn't
far
have
away.
enough. I didn't have enough to do. I just got caught over here trying to kill some of them.
Death bolts would kill those. Too many death bolts went off.
Go off on me, like I had nothing left. Maybe it was a shit decision.
I'm gonna get her.
I've got them.
That's okay. We're gonna pull these mobs here. Kill this. Still got 27 seconds on Hero. So we're gonna pull this next group for as well. We're not pulling the worm this time. Go for us.
I got second circle.
And I'm not gonna use my trinket because I know we're going straight into a boss. Need to move that explosive weak aura.
Jesus. Is someone at second circle? Okay.
Should make sure they stay alive. We don't have any curses off, which is good. He's gonna drop a totem. You just gotta run from that. You ain't gonna kill it in time. You gotta be like 15 yards away. And Julian gets the explosive before I can. Or somebody does. I don't know who that was. Okay, time for Krog boss. Okay, so this boss is a giant worm with 2 legs. Larva with 2 legs and tusks, apparently. And so a lot of people like to pull it back to this back wall.
3, 2, 1.
I don't, and we do move away from this. It's not, you know, it does look like that, but that's not what we're end up doing. So we're gonna kind of move it sort of in the middle of the room, although definitely to one side. Indigestion's going to happen. That does a lot of damage to the tank if it gets hit, so you'll see her roll out of the way.
Well, that's fucking nice.
And that's amazing that that can happen.
What?
Get out of the random
You
hit.
need to
Yeah,
move
you can
charge.
either
It'll
set a
churn
swap
one
and
direction
swap
facing
back, or you can
player.
just roll back next one.
Every time he does any ability, these larvae are going to drop out. And they need to be run
can
over,
actually
or ticks
just, like,
will
run
spawn.
from
And
it,
ticks
though.
put a nasty bleed on targets, and they'll end up
It's
overwhelming your
really
tank
hard
if
on
you
my
get a few
bear.
of them. Especially on Tyrannical like this. This is
You can
amazing,
make
you
him
know.
his out move speed, but you have to start
Tyrannical
moving
weak
this
on an
second, so you
18.
have to, like,
Stuff
train
does
Really
hurt.
hard on my bear.
He also has an energy meter. You'll see it is just now hitting
He's at the
100.
cast in the first
So
one,
now
like,
in
it's
just a
like
second,
or
he's
whatever,
going to
it's like
cast
really
Tantrum, and Tantrum
He
does
gets
a lot of
slowly moving with
damage.
it, though.
So I had
Like,
pre-casted
I'll pay attention
wings,
for, like, a second.
so that I have wings up, and I can heal people even if they're out of range right now, be a glimmer of light, and be moving at the same time. So that gets everybody topped up, mostly. And now we're back into the boss, plugging every little bit of damage I can. I did save Aura Mastery so that I can use Devotion Aura on the next one. I'll have to just make sure Glimmer spread. You get a lot less time because the energy starts building the second you cast Rampage, or Tantrum, not the second he's done. And so you'll see he's already almost at 100 energy. So, gotta make sure we squish these things. We didn't get any maggots the first time, which is good. He's at 30%, and now I gotta use Davu because this is taking a lot of damage. I don't have land hands available. I am just gonna bubble here so that I can focus on other people while doing this. And so we did get a couple ticks this time. We're gonna use an external on her because she's taking a crap load of damage.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
I don't know how I just missed that tick. I noticed that now.
You're already red.
We are gonna use cooldowns here, even the boss is relatively close to dead, just to make sure she doesn't die. And he's actually about to do his third tantrum, which is less than ideal. So what we're going to do is keep attacking him during this tantrum, because living it and getting the things is going to be kind of hard. We're able to get the kill pretty quickly into it.
Why was I taking the dick so hard?
And now we need to go into the second obelisk of the day.
Take it that bad.
This is Ungorth, the Breaker of Heroes. That's such a fucking edgy name. In plain English, this guy does a debuff to the tank that increases the damage they take by like 200%. So you gotta keep the tank topped for the healer. It also does a huge circle ground pound. That's Spirit Breaker, that's what that was right there. Now she's avoiding it, so it's not that big of a deal, but she got that one. So she has that on her for another 4 seconds. Ground pound does massive damage. You can typically live them on less than a 15, I'd say, safely. On an 18, you really don't want to risk it. It'll do a ton of damage, so you just need to get out of it. And then we'll just kill it. He also puts these growths on the ground, which slow. But we're not taking this guy anywhere, so we don't have to deal with them. We're just going to come right out. They're going to disappear. And it's a mechanic we didn't have to deal with at all. I wouldn't be surprised to see if Blizzard changes those growth placements in the future, because no one's really using that obelisk to skip. And then we do one boss, one obelisk, and we are right into the third boss because we have pre-cleared the trash. This is Spore Collar Zancha. Spore Collar Zancha puts a bunch of these little green mushrooms around the outside of the room that are starting to swarm in right now. They need to be popped because when he reaches 100 energy, he's going to do a massive AoE that deals damage to everybody. And the way you pop him is that he has a frontal cleave called Shockwave that the tank is going to position him such that when that frontal goes off, like it just happened right there, it hits some mushrooms. And then it also does something called Upheaval. What Upheaval is going to do is it's going to go on 2 DPS, and they need to run to a spot after 3 seconds. It'll drop a big swirly like that, that'll pop the mushrooms. Any mushrooms that are up will do damage.
Well, where's the other two?
damage is amplified based off how many mushrooms are up, so you really don't need any mushrooms up when he heats 100 energy. So what we had there is we had our Frost DK use anti-magic shell to go pop them, because the third way of popping these mushrooms, besides upheaval and the cleave, is to just step in them and they disappear, but it'll put a debuff on you, a disease. If one person does that and gets cleansed right away, it's not a big deal.
I was 100% gonna get that
But them all going off on everybody else at the same time, big problem. So I'm going to use
Oh,
bubble
I
there
fucking
just to
saw
get
that.
the 2 right there.
Oh, this is bad. I wasted a shockwave.
You only have one left.
Touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
So we got to make sure that she solo pops that so we don't take damage here. I'm dead because just the way that works. We get quick on the res. And this
I'm trying to
boss,
find a spot. I'm gonna put him right here.
I did use Aura Mastery right before that, so we kind of lost value on our Devotion Aura, which is unfortunate. A lot of healing intense in this fight. So she Shockwave cleaves, we have a bunch up, gotta dodge these spores as they come out. I'm gonna dispel her because she stood on one, and then we're back into the fight. Again, I'm just gonna use my wings here, even though the boss is almost done, because I just need to make sure we live this to stay alive. He's about to hit 100 energy again. But I think we kill him before that happens. Or right as it happens. Yeah, right as it happens. Because he's doing it right now. All the things are down. We just gotta dodge them, stay alive. Which is easier said than done sometimes with this boss. Okay. And boss is down.
I hate that boss.
There's 2 obelisks left, but we're gonna do one with the last boss. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run straight to this boss, this obelisk here. We're gonna kill this worm boy. And again, we need to make sure that we interrupt Deathbolt. We pulled one ad with it, so we're gonna be using interrupt chains on this. Withering Curse is higher priority than the Deathbolt, but they're both pretty high. And the Deathbolt goes off. Someone missed the interrupt on it. I probably could have gotten it, but we have them pre-called, so I don't know what happened there. Spirit Drain Totem goes off, so I'm just going to use my horse to get the hell out of dodge. Everybody else got out too, which is good.
I lagged on my kick. So.
I'll get first run.
Okay. We're waiting for the Faceless Corruptor to walk away, because we're going to do these 2 again.
Get the purple. Yeah, bring.
I'll get the next in the worm.
Got next to Filer.
Are we rushing into the thing for efforts?
No, we need the big guy.
We're going to use wings here because, again, an interrupt was missed. I don't know what's going on here, to be honest. But we live.
Go prepare the snake, please.
And once again, we have killed this. We have pulled the snake somehow.
Careful. Gaze, watch out.
I killed it. I'm gonna have to kill the worm though.
You want to just bring it on top? Or will we pull more?
I do, but
And
we
then
might pull
I
more, so we gotta
completely
dodge.
miss those tentacles.
And Kitty is down, so.
I have to battle.
I have no idea how I didn't see those. Sometimes you probably shouldn't be doing keys at 4 in the morning, I guess. But they kill the thing. They just gotta kill the worm. As long as they don't miss an interrupt, it's not gonna be a big deal. We still got 9 minutes to time this thing.
I'll kick next.
I'll get after and Millen.
Cool.
Let me get him.
So go on.
So,
Do you want?
so we're gonna get a res off here, and we're gonna drag this to the last 2 trash that we need. And we'll do it in the 4th boss.
Spawn close.
Okay.
I'm gonna blow my cooldowns on it if they spawn close. This is shit. Let's just run.
Okay.
I'm a...
Last obelisk, gotta kill these, well, it's 3rd obelisk, we're skipping the last. We gotta kill these 4 tentacles.
I'm running.
They put a debuff and a slow on people. And then the big guy drops corruption zones underneath people. So you gotta keep them interrupted and just DPS them down pretty quickly. There's only one left over
It's like
there.
triple thing from beyond. Like, what the fuck?
A tank is apparently getting hit by triple things from beyond, which is fun. We ran out LOS the tentacles far enough, or ranged them far enough that they'll spawn, so now we're going to kill him here. We don't have to deal with the zone. And we just got to focus this guy. We need to kill him close enough to the door that we don't pull this worm right there. Shouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, it's a little... I don't think I'll do this again.
Maybe we didn't need a big guy. I thought we needed a big guy. We'd be like a few percent short.
We got the
Keep
worm
these,
too.
don't worry.
Oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
We'd still be like a little bit over.
So
I don't
we're
know,
gonna
will we get
come
cut
out of
outs on the
here.
random?
They pulled these guys.
It's.
Now,
mean, not
I
much.
don't like going in with these guys
only need one of
because
these
of
guys,
reasons
even
you
if we
saw
pull
on the previous
perfectly.
ones we pull. Two of them are
I think we need both. I think we'd be like 0.38
just
short.
kind of a lot of tentacles spawning and stuff like that. I like to stay this one at ranged. It's probably not the most, well, it's definitely not the most efficient thing to do. But at this point, I want to play it safe than sorry with 7 minutes left in the key.
Case.
And totally timeable. I'm also not going to use my, well, I ended up deciding to use my cooldown. No, that was vision proc. Okay, cool. So I'm not going to use my cooldowns here because I want to save them for the next boss. I'm watching this replay for the first time. I actually kind of thought I'd use them there. And then I, of course, get hit by the fucking tentacles again.
I need to drink though once we get done.
Our tank is worried that we will be short on time. She's wrong. This is not going to be as close as she thinks it's going to be. Because I stood away, I wasn't able to reset my holy shocks, and so I was flash of lighting a lot more than I normally do, which is why I have to drink. It's kind of the reason you want to stay close to the boss at a time. And then here we go.
Towards the wall, or are we doing?
Okay. Last boss, Unbound Abomination.
1 and 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so the Unbound Abomination
Like this,
is one of the bosses I've seen just done completely the worst in lower keys that I've bugged recently. He's going to cast Vile Explosion, which is going to target your current location, put a debuff on you, and put a spot of corrupted ground on the ground. And so what you do is you stack on the tank and then move halfway through the cast away from where he's going. So we're going to keep him facing the same direction. We're going to run through him, and then we're going to have this safe space right behind him here, like so, in order to have as much room as possible. And then we're doing this at the same time as the fourth obelisk, so that's what you see the spider for. We just need to keep interrupts on her. She's dead, so now we just gotta focus boss. The other thing this does, you have a Titan Keeper helping you. The golden circle there that spawns on a random person will dispel everybody as well as remove corruption. So a lot of people think that they use that just to remove the zones on the ground. No, you need people stacking in it to help your healers out. The other thing that happens here is that when you do damage to him, you actually just give him energy, and 100 energy he spawns 2 adds. Once the adds die, the boss himself takes damage, and so a lot of people make the mistake of switching to the adds when this happens, but your Titan Keeper will actually kill them for you. So again, we're staying together in this circle. It's going to dispel everybody. We've now moved, and we're going to position him back a little bit. And then through one ad, he'll do the energy to 100, summon 2 adds 3 times. So, second one's coming. I have the thing on me. I need to make sure that I have everybody in here. Tank rolled a little too far, but I can solo dispel, so it's not a huge deal.
I've been taking Claritin and Flonase. Helps a little bit, but...
Okay. Casting.
Definitely
Again, it's on me. We're keeping everyone in here. Tank ran a little too far again. We'll dispel here in just a second. We're going to cast our thing. We've now had our second one, so we just need to DPS him to 100% one more time, and then we've won the fight. Just stand inside this golden circle. Make sure we don't get everybody dispelled. He's facing the opposite of the way we want to move, so we don't have to worry about running out of space. Halfway through the cast, so now we move.
We are cooking on DPS on this guy.
Okay. Back again, circle, stay in circle. Circle dispels everybody.
This is the third one, right?
DPS boss. Just avoid the spores as they come, but they die to AoE damage, so if you just drop a consecration or occasional starfall or something, there's nothing to do with them. Okay. So now when the third ad comes out, you can switch to this ad if you want. It doesn't make a huge difference because the Titan's gonna kill it pretty fast anyways. You'll save a couple seconds. But there we go. We timed it. It was a good run. Didn't end up getting anything worthwhile except for some IO score, but there you have it. I appreciate you guys watching it with me, and I hope you guys have a great day. I'll have more videos out soon enough. Bye.